Hey, Vic, doing this weird on a Friday before practice, but on injury statuses, have you made a decision on Boye, Shelby Harris, and Spencer?
Yeah, Bouye is still going through the concussion protocol. He hasn't done as well as Phillip did last week. I think we'll know by the end of the day where he stands. Shelby is still going through, talking back and forth with the league, whether he'll be available or not. It's probably below 50-50 that he will be. And I don't think Spence will make it this week.
And then the four guys who were limited yesterday, Patrick, Callahan, Lindsey, and Bennett, will they be listed as questionable? And what do you think they'll do Sunday?
Yeah, they'll be listed as questionable.
Are they
excuse me?
Are they trending toward playing?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Next one, Coach Meyer.
Yeah, Vic, I just wanted to ask you, earlier in the week, you talked about that week of practice before the first Patriots game was delayed, that you talked to Alberto at length. What were just some of the things that you talked to him after that week of practice? Was it just to kind of just settle down and play, or what was sort of that message?
Just to, let himself loose. It seemed to me like he was tense, not confident, feeling his way, kind of like not wanting to make a mistake. And just told him to let his ability take over, play with confidence. And that was kind of the gist of it all, amongst other things.
Next one, Arnie Stapleton.
Hey, Vic, there are now 14 teams in the league that are under intensive protocols. Like you guys, I know you were probably one of the first teams to go into the intensive. Can you speak to what are the advantages of being in the intensive protocols? I know you mentioned that it helped mitigate the spread if you've had any cases. How has it been living in this intensive protocols?
Well, I think the biggest difference is, we don't meet in person. It's virtually right now. I don't think that's the best way to meet. I don't think anybody else does. It's hard to get feedback from the players, hard to totally get questions, especially when you're operating with an entire defense or an entire offense or the entire team. It's a little easier when you're down in your position groups. They have to drive in here and get tested early in the morning, then go home for the meetings, come back for practice. So you're cutting down the opportunities of them being together down as much as you can, kind of limit it to the field. So you just have to adjust to it.
Next one, Jeff Leibold.
Vic, I just was wondering how you split the sort of the on-field work with the DBs with Ed being out. And the second part of that is, have you tried to engage players more on your own because you can only meet virtually?
Ronaldo and Chris Beek have, handled the secondary in total in Ed's absence on the field. Ed is still there in all the meetings virtually. And actually, it's a little harder to get with the players one-on-one because they're here less of the time. They're not hanging out in the locker room where you can grab them and talk to them. They're not in the cafeteria. There's not that all the dead time. They're not here. So, I've talked and communicated with several of them each week, sometimes phone call, texting. So really that kind of the intensive protocols has made that a little bit more cumbersome.
Next one, Mike.
Yeah, Coach, two, is Shelby a case where if it was a home game, he'd have a better chance of playing, the travel part of it?
I don't think so. If it was a Monday night game, he'd have a much better chance.
Okay. And then Vaughn said earlier this week, I don't know if anybody's asked you about this, that he thought he'd be back in 3 weeks or a month. Is that something that, is realistic for you guys? Are you talking that way, or where are you at?
For who?
Vaughn Miller.
Yeah. To be honest with you, we haven't talked a whole lot about it yet. I've talked with him about it, but until he gets medical clearance to go out there and start moving around, we'll just have to wait and see. But when he gets medical clearance to start going out there and join practice, then I think we have a much more worthwhile conversation.
Guys, time for a few more. Next one is Zach Stevens.
Hey, Coach, what's the key for a smaller cornerback like Bryce going up against bigger wide receivers? He had success last week against Mike Williams and this week against Julio Jones.
Yeah, I think the ability to jump is one of them. So where when the ball's thrown up, you can get up there and maybe compete with the taller guys if you can jump, and Bryce can jump. The ability to stay close. As long as you're close, then you have the ability to compete for the ball. And he does have the ability to stay close. So, the quickness and the speed has to be your advantage. And then when they do throw it up high, you do have to have the ability to go up and get it.
Final two, Kyle Newman and Brandon.
Hey, Vic, what do you make of how Desean Williams and Sylvester Williams have taken advantage of their opportunity so far, and what kind of improvement are you looking from them, especially if Shelby can't play?
Yeah, Desean is really, here's a guy who hadn't played football. I don't know, some of you guys have said how many thousands of days he's gone without playing. And, real good feel-good story with him. He's a great guy, plays hard, loves football. And I don't know that we could ask for more from him than we've gotten. And Sly, guy who's been a player in this league, high pick, played here, played other teams. And I think he's just loving his second opportunity to come back here. I know the guys enjoy him, the coaches enjoy him, and he's making the most of it.
Last one, Brandon.
Coach, I didn't get a chance to ask you this morning when we had you on KOA, so I want to ask now. You've been in the league for a long time, and I know most years the election just kind of comes and goes, but they made such a big deal about it in the league this year. Were you happy with how your team was engaged, especially after y'all had those conversations, and then on a personal level with your home state of Pennsylvania being such a key part of how the result's going to go?
Yeah, I haven't really paid a whole lot of attention to the election. I know our players were passionate about it, at the start of camp. And I think a lot of them did vote, so that's good. I don't really have a lot to say about the election other than I can't believe that in this day and age of technology and everything else, it's harder to count votes than it was in the 1960s.